So, our new vision. One of my first many observations, having worked in media for 2 decades plus now, is how introspective out-of-home is as a sector. And it's one of the things I'd like to talk about in a bit more detail. So it's no accident that our new vision is all around creating a future vision for media rather than only having out-of-home at the centre of it. Since joining this fabulous sector, a number of people have said, Sarah, you spent 7 years at Google, you were marketing director at ITV, don't you think joining out-of-home is a bit of a step backwards or going more traditional and more classic? I think actually, if you look at my career history to date, I'm very passionate about media. Having worked as technology sales director and then strategic marketing director at Google, I'm a devotee of technology, I'm a devotee of mobile, I'm a devotee of social, and I love data and measurement. So those are some of the things I'd like to talk to you about. I'm really excited about where this sector is at now, and I think that if you think about all the things I've just cited, we deliver them in spades, in the best marriage imaginable, if one assumes that there are more than 2 people in this marriage. I'm also conscious that if I look back to pre-Google and pre-ITV days to my days at Cara, so when I was on the board of Cara Business and I had the delight of working with Mr. Craze, who was CEO at the time of Cara, I didn't really think of out-of-home as anything other than a bolt-on that I outsourced internally to Posterscope. I didn't really understand what it could deliver, and I would argue that in those days what it delivered was way off what we as a sector are able to deliver on now. One of my other observations is, apart from the fact that I do think we're a bit introspective and I think we can do a better job there, is where's the think box equivalent? So when I was working at ITV, just prior to joining Clear Channel, it didn't matter what the question was, the answer was always TV. And that was down to Thinkbox as the marketing body for the broadcast sector, doing a consistently brilliant, credible, deemed to be independent job for the medium. So I think we have a fantastic opportunity with the new OMC to actually deliver on not just an equivalent, but a better marketing body for our sector that's the Thinkbox equivalent for it. So this kind of talks about my career to date, in a way, and is very much how I think of our sector. So broadcast, claim, reach. Do we do that? Yes, we do. Print claims reach and contextual targeting. Does out-of-home deliver on that? I think you'll find it does. Ditto radio, about the only medium I haven't worked in yet and don't certainly plan to at this stage, also claims reach and contextual targeting. Tick, 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 tick. Okay, so we then move on to online display and video. I think we have an opportunity on the measurement front to do a better collective job in devising a consistent measurement currency for our sector. But we're still talking about contextual targeting, which, as we all know, we deliver on brilliantly. And actually, I heard a quote that could be deemed to be either cheesy or profound, depending on how much caffeine you've just had, which was, all these other media claim contextual targeting. The context within which out-of-home delivers is life. So as I say, depending on your view, you could deem that to be either very profound or very cheesy, but I think there's a nugget of an idea in there. Search, targeting, I've already cited the measurement piece, and then mobile messaging on the move. Well, we do it, I would argue, better than any other medium. And some of the campaigns I'd like to cite today, I think, show a brilliant example of how we deliver on that. So we're in a brilliant space as a sector, and I personally think it's really exciting. What's also exciting, I think, is our ability to deliver both at national scale for large advertisers as much as very locally or regionally proximity-based advertising campaigns and partnerships. And again, not every media could claim that. This is the other way we're sort of thinking about out of home. So pretend that this is the good old-fashioned linear purchase funnel as was. I was fascinated in what Fiona was talking about this morning when she was talking about out of home and TV's ability to prime both other out of home and other media. And I think there's an element of truth in that we feed upper funnel reach better than any other media. Ditto provide fame for creative agencies, who were cited briefly earlier, as much as being able to deliver on much, much more DR-centric campaigns across our various portfolios. The most staggering thing for me, though, is how brilliant this sector is the best blooming kept secret in media. We're not very good at shouting about it. And I've only pulled a few stats here for you today, but we commissioned a piece of research in January, February this year, so it's very new. And in that research, we wanted to interrogate how marketing directors who already invest in out of home perceive it, what they believe it to deliver on, versus marketing directors who don't invest in out of home. Now, one would assume that there would be a disparate gap between the two groups, and that was very, very much validated by our findings. What was staggering for me, though, was the degree to which marketing directors who already invest in out of home as a medium of choice still don't get it. So all the brilliant marriage that I've just talked about of social, tech innovation, digital, mobile, they're still way, way off in terms of comprehension levels. And I think as a result of this, we have a huge education job to be done so that people don't remain the Sarah Speake of 2000 or whenever I was at Cara and think, yeah, it's pretty familiar, I know what out of home delivers on, it's a very comfy old slipper. So to kind of quash these misperceptions, I think, we'd probably all agree that that middle stat at the top, the 54%, is both the biggest challenge, but actually equally the biggest opportunity for us. And I'm pleased that all media owners represented in this room are embarking on a joint collaborative piece of research for the first time ever to start unpicking that. So I'm really excited by it. This to me looks bland, boring, black and white, not very exciting. And you'll all recognise Piccadilly because we're around the corner from it. But one of the things that struck me about this, and my team are already quite bored of me banging on about this at Clear Channel, but I have a question to pose to this audience, which is, what is it that happens to people that work in out of home between their commute and the start of their day job? Because I think when they start their day job, they somehow enter this sector, which is it's all a bit bland, it's not very colourful, it's not very fun, it's not very playful, and actually I would argue that's exactly what our sector does. Everybody that works in media commutes, whether on public transport, on foot, driving, and guess what? During every single one of those commutes, they're exposed to a lot of out-of-home messages. But what happens is they walk into work and they somehow have a frontal lobotomy that forgets how provoked, engaged, informed, entertained they with their consumer hats have been by out-of-home advertising, and they start talking about these inanimate target audiences. And so I think the education job we have to do in part is to help address that gap, because it is colourful, it is exciting, and as we all know, we have a fantastic chance to deliver at scale. So this is one of the examples that I wanted to share with you. It's a short video showcasing Cancer Research UK.
In support of World Cancer Day, and it's a first for us at Cancer Research UK, and I think first for us in charity.
So we've created a really nice, lovely, simple, creative execution that helps people link their small donations to the fact that they can keep research going.
Actually, what this has highlighted is the possibilities are endless in terms of how we can transform our media buying and also ultimately get people to take part and feel that they're part of the fight in beating cancer sooner.
That, and we utilised 4 of our retail shops to put contactless payment in the shop window. We used Clear Channel as a partner with AMV and various other agencies to help build an interactive display where people could go up the shop window, donate £2 and would engage with a piece of creativity that was in one of the digital screens in the shop window.
I think it's a great idea because it's brand new. We're the first charity to do it. It's innovative, it's bold, it's really simple, and I think it's a brilliant idea.
There was an article in the Times last week that said contactless card transactions will kill off cash within the next 10 years. If and when that happens, Cancer Research UK needs to be ready for that and have the mechanisms in place to make it as easy as possible for supporters to give. And this test is the first step in making that happen.
So we're massively excited. This is a world first use of technology, and we're offering supporters a magical experience. They can tap their contactless card on one of our shop windows and make a £2 donation to Cancer Research UK.
We kind of facilitate that engagement, that connection between the brand and consumer on the street. That's what we do. My team try and make that innovative and interesting so that it's a compelling engagement and they go and talk about it.
I think it's super simple, I think it's clear, I think it's enticing, and I've been tapping my way this morning already, so I think it's great.
I love that campaign, and I think it's a fantastic example of marrying up mobile technology and a level of innovation and creativity that is really exciting, but also tackles a fundamental consumer problem. And that consumer problem in this very specific incident was Cancer Research UK came to us and said, we're really, really struggling in that year on year our payment collections on the street, i.e. people shaking buckets, are going down really significantly, and we don't know how to get over that problem because it's such a core level of donating funds to, budgets that we clearly need. And I think this is a really, really lovely example of how new digital out of home can really deliver on tackling a big consumer problem. I think Fiona made a brilliant point this morning, which is we only did this in a handful of Cancer UK stores. So I think the next phase for us is how do we scale these kind of really big, innovative ideas? So in terms of how we're shaping our estate, we are very, very much interested in continuing to invest in our ad shell proposition, which is our bus shelter advertising. I don't know whether to be pleased or horrified that ad shell seems to have become the sort of consumer trend for bus shelter advertising in out of home, i.e. everybody uses it to refer to bus shelter advertising, so thank you for selling our ad shell on our behalf. But on a serious note, we will continue to invest very, very heavily in our ad shell portfolio. We already have 20,000 NFC and QR-enabled panels at this stage, and we'll continue to invest in them. Equally, Storm. So Storm is, I think, a very beautiful, iconic part of our portfolio, which is our high-end premium digital proposition. My own personal favourite, for anybody who lives in West London as I do, are our Chiswick Towers, where we've partnered with a number of different advertisers on running some fantastic campaigns that I think display beautifully what digital can do. And I think for me, this kind of product epitomises that sort of marriage of creativity and technology that we can continue to deliver on. In terms of the Storm portfolio, we will, as with the rest of our portfolio, we will continue to invest very heavily in it, and launched our new site in Birmingham last week, and I look forward to sharing with you our more detailed rollout plan as we are in a position to share it. And then what about good old classic out of home? It's still a core part of our business, and I think here gives a really, really good example of that either profound or cheesy quote that I shared with you earlier about our delivering within the context of life. But what about the measurement piece? And it's a real biggie. And as somebody who has come from a heavy data background, having worked at Google for so long, I do think we need to get better at measuring as a consistent currency across the industry. But in terms of what we're specifically doing about it, have a look at this quick video that explains.
Welcome to Play IQ, a brand new innovation in advertising technology, reimagining the way you reach your customers using out-of-home advertising. Play IQ sits at the core of Clear Channel's new state-of-the-art digital offering, connecting over 2,500 digital screens nationwide, making our advertising easier to buy, sell, and deliver. Play IQ empowers you to bring your ideas to life in new and exciting ways. As flexible as your creativity, Play IQ allows you to create digital campaigns that target your audience in real time, implement live, dynamic campaigns, benefit from real-time availability and campaign booking, reach your audience with unprecedented levels of targeting, all while keeping track of your campaign with live audience data and delivery statistics through real-time campaign performance. Additionally, Play IQ makes it easy and simple to plug in new data, allowing you to create custom campaigns that are unique to your brand. With Play IQ, we can view instant availability, which will lead to us offering full digital management, allowing you to book what you want, when you want, and at a moment's notice. Integrating live events with campaign creative has led to some of the most innovative advertising campaigns of recent times. Play IQ will simplify this process even further, so linking your creative to the latest data streams will become second nature. Our technology allows us to target the audience of your choice. The open nature of Play IQ will allow us to take this to the next level, combining multiple information sources to engage with your customers in the right place, at the right time, and in the right frame of mind. And that's not all. Our online platform will soon allow for management of all of this in one place, allowing for full control over your campaign. Play IQ, connecting your brand to the new generation in out-of-home, where brands meet people.
So we heard quite a lot from Andreas earlier on programmatic ad-serving platforms, and I think technologies like this really give us an opportunity to have a wider industry collective conversation about how we really future-proof our business on the measurement front. So I'm delighted that our Walker's Tweet to Eat campaign and lovely Gary Lineker have been cited so often. And I think what Albert from JC&Co said was absolutely right, which is rather than talking about the future, I think the future is now. You know, we already have the ability to deliver on some incredibly innovative tech-driven campaigns like the Tweet to Eat Walkers campaign, where in essence we transformed a bus shelter into a vending machine, activated by consumers tweeting to get a packet of crisps. So we're not actually, in many instances, this is only one example, but we are not actually that far off the question of, that Fiona raised earlier of saying, how do we make digital out of home and how do we make out of home more shoppable? How do we drive E and M commerce through it? And actually, I think, it would be remiss of me to have said we're in it together, not to also mention other people's campaigns. So the campaign at T2 at the moment that JC.co and DailyDOOH have delivered on is fantastic. It's really engaging, where consumers are able to access live transport information from T2 at the luggage reclaim section when they're picking up their bags. So I think our ability to deliver a level of utility information as well as advertising solutions is really important. Equally, it was mentioned earlier, but the Ocean and Women's Aid campaign, I think, is really, really impactful, and as a force for good shows how we can really have an impact in wider messaging. And then 2 weeks ago, at the Outdoor Planning Awards, and I think we're going to have to rename them Out of Home Planning Awards, as we're now all using that as a standard. This particular campaign, which again was mentioned earlier, won the Grand Prix because I think, again, it epitomises the marriage of tech that we were talking about earlier and really harnesses the power of digital. What about out of home as a force for good? So in our case at Clear Channel, we've had a relationship with the Prince's Trust for the last 10 years, which is one that we really enjoy. And I think they've been very, very good partners and therefore very, very good brand ambassadors for us as well, actually. We've also embarked on a scheme with TfL called the Routes to Work scheme, which is very, very much centred around helping disadvantaged kids in London with a level of training and ultimately find apprenticeships. And I think, as a sector, we should be doing a lot more of that where possible. Equally, we were involved with this campaign, which is the Transport Museum Contemporary Poster Art Initiative. And I went to the Transport Museum the other day, and there's something very satisfying about seeing other people's contributions to that publicly available for sale now, which is fantastic. And then Art Everywhere. Everybody familiar with Art Everywhere? Yes? Lots of nods, but not the entire room. Okay, so in brief, this was a brilliant example of us collaborating with other media owners to, in essence, create a national art gallery out of home. And I think, again, we should, where possible, be doing more of that because it's a brilliant way of enabling consumers to engage with art who wouldn't necessarily go and physically visit an art gallery. And I think we're an environmentally responsible sector. So one of the things that fascinated me about the Look Again research that I cited earlier is the main element provided by any media owner that marketing directors requested was to be environmentally friendly. So I'm really, really proud to say at Clear Channel, less than 2% of any of our waste ends up in landfill. And equally, we're investing in electric vehicles, solar-powered bus shelters, and so on, and that will very, very much continue. And I think we make, when I say we, not just Clear Channel, but us as an industry, we make travel better. We make it easier to manage people's expectations when they're waiting for buses. And equally here, we're trialling an interactive mapping technology to make that even more sophisticated than it currently is. So there's already a wealth of sophistication in our sector, but I think we need to shout about it a lot better than we have done previously, so that there isn't. If I recommissioned the Look Again research next January, or even in 18 months' time, I'd be horrified and I would see it as a failure if there was such a disparate gap between knowledge levels of marketers who already invest in out of home versus what we all know collectively it can actually deliver on. So I came to out of home because of this kind of stuff. So the marriage that I've talked about of creativity and technology and really fun, engaging campaigns that make consumers sit up and listen and share an experience together. So my rallying cry to you all is let's keep what we're doing brilliantly. Let's keep innovating. Let's keep driving reach versus other media and work out exactly what our relationship is in complement with them. Let's keep working together, but let's get people more excited about our sector. We can't do it on our own, though. Sorry about this, Alan, wherever you're sitting. See? Outdoor delivers fame. On a serious note, you know, in light of what I said earlier about ThinkBox, I genuinely believe we have a fantastic opportunity here with the OMC under Alan and Mark's guise and guidance to actually have a very, very credible marketing body to do a lot of that shouting on our behalf with our collective support. And I also think we have an opportunity to amplify our brilliance via other brand ambassadors. So I talked a bit about some of the charity partners that we work with who are fantastic brand ambassadors for us and for Out of Home per se. We should be using famous people in our sector better than we do. So I think it was my second week at Clear Channel, bumped into Rory Sutherland at Adweek as we were both rushing across the road. And he said, "Oh, you're in Out of Home now, how fabulous." And I said, well, what's your latest mantra about life? Because as you all know, he has a mantra that he sticks to for 6 months and then he moves on to the next thing. And actually his answer for me encapsulated what I think we are about, in that he said, well, Sarah, I think the next phase for us in media is all about using old media in brilliant, new, innovative ways. And I think we do that better than anybody else. So I will continue to lean on people like him to be ambassadors for us. So in summary, this happens to be one of our campaigns, but I would say if it's a JC&Co campaign that takes budget away from any other medium, if it's a piece of ocean research that makes everybody sit up and listen and think, actually, what Out of Home can deliver is very compelling and can add value to my business. If it's a prime site or campaign that makes creative agencies think, need to get involved in that, might be able to win an award, it's good for all of us. It's really good for all of us. And actually, from the Clear Channel perspective specifically, whether it's the BA campaign, whether it's the Cancer Research UK campaign that I showed the video of earlier, whether it's Tweet to Eat and Walkers, we have the chance to do so much more of this, I think, and we can do it a lot better if we're in it together. Thank you very much for listening.